Welcome back, ladies, to another episode on the Fearless Femme podcast. I'm your host, Becky Jane Stevenson. If you are new here, I am also known as the Business Creatrix, working with powerful, passionate women who are done playing small, who are done hiding behind perfectionism, overwhelm, and chaos. Women who are really ready to be seen, to be paid, and most importantly, to be unapologetically themselves in life and business. So I am a mentor, a mama of 5, a fire starter for women's voices. I don't do fluff. I do truth, sass, strategy, and soul. So if you are here for surface level empowerment, you're probably not going to find that here, but if you are here to wake up to the version of you who's been quietly waiting for permission to lead, then stay close. So let's get into tonight's episode. So if you've been feeling lately like you are lazy, unmotivated, maybe you are just self-flagellating on not trying hard enough, I want you right now, this second, to pause this looping of self-blame and listen in. Because you're not lazy, you're not broken, you're not any of those labels that you keep slapping on yourself. You're just simply done betraying yourself to survive. And no one's really been checking in on that part of you, but I am. I want you to really sit in this moment and ask yourself, am I really thriving? What kind of things are going on for you lately? You know, maybe you've been grinding, hustling, masking, performing, and calling it empowerment or calling it being successful. But if behind the scenes your nervous system feels like it's been shred to pieces, your joy feels a little bit numb, and maybe your purpose is starting to feel a bit of a checklist, then this episode is for the woman in you that's been saying, I'm tired, but can't find the words to say why you're tired. So we're going to go deep into this one, ladies, and you know what? I feel like I need to take my own advice sometimes too, because, you know, we don't always get it right. We are in this together. So the first part of this podcast, I really want to talk about like the exhaustion that nobody else sees. So you're waking up tired, you're going to bed wired, your brain won't switch off, but your motivation is like checked out. Maybe it checked out weeks ago. It's like being in a car and you're pumping the accelerator and there's no fuel in the tank to go anywhere. And it's not really that you're not doing enough. It's more than likely that you're doing too much of the things that just don't fit for you. I'm not going to say the wrong things because that just sets off another shame spiral that we don't need. But it's more than likely you may be participating in some things that just have no place. Too much people pleasing, too much pretending, too much masking, too much blending yourself into boxes to be liked, booked, or even validated. So you've probably been feeling like you've been holding it together with glitter glue and affirmations and I just need to push a little bit more. I just need to push through. I just need to push through. Like that's become some kind of mantra for so many women, whether you have a business or not. You don't need to keep pushing. What you need is to recognize when pushing is healthy and when pushing is coming from that place of risking burnout. So if you are sat there right now and you are nodding your head and you're going, yes, like I know. You're tired of being everything for everyone and being nothing to yourself. There's no sugarcoating that one. This isn't burnout from work, it's burnout from betrayal. And this is probably going to hit to the gut. It's tiny betrayals, daily ones, betraying yourself, saying yes when you mean no, nodding along when your gut is screaming, pushing through when your body and your nervous system is begging you to rest. So how this betrayal starts showing up. So this betrayal fatigue shows up in the most sneakiest ways. Of course it does. You know, because we're smart bitches, we probably just don't recognize it. So procrastination is one big red flag. Not because you're lazy, but because your soul and your energy and your inner being is not on board. Your inner bitch is not on board. Like, she's saying, hell no. Like, I'm not doing that. You get irritable over the small things. And I mean, this could be, like, I recognize this one. And it's not just from sensory overload or being too wired or overstimulated. Like, it's the irritable things when you have a house full of children and you can hear the TV going and the radio is playing and somebody's got music on really loud and you're trying to do something. And getting irritable over the small things, even like when you're in the zone and you're doing some amazing, incredible work for your offers and your clients and somebody comes and interrupts you. Or it could be, you know, when you're taking time out for yourself, even if it's just 5 minutes and somebody wants that time for themselves. Like, these are small resentments that we start holding and they start building up every time that you don't advocate for yourself, every time you don't access that self-agency. You stop dreaming is another big indicator. You stop dreaming about what your goal was or what the big blue sky thing was that you pictured for yourself. I mean, we've all done them, right? We've all done the meditations and the visualizations to picture what we want our life to look like in 5 years, in 10 years. And while it's great, I used to really subscribe to like vision boarding and law of attraction and manifesting. And I guess I dipped my toe in it and I could see where they have a place. And absolutely, I've seen so many women achieve some incredible things. But I also was able to see that the women that were achieving these incredible things were the exception and not the rule. Like, it's not going to happen that way for every single woman. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not being a negative Nancy here. But I could also feel how visualizing where you're at in 5 years, in 10 years, can put so much pressure on, and that dream starts to become murky. Things start shifting and changing, and when you start burning out, when you're overextending yourself, when you're betraying yourself, and you're doing things to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, that vision that you have for yourself, where you want to be in 5 years, in 10 years, 15 years, can start to feel really murky. And that vision can actually start to feel like a burden. And it's not that you don't want those things for yourself anymore. It's not that you're not passionate about it anymore or whatever else you want to shame yourself for. It's just oftentimes we put so much pressure on ourselves to get there that we just don't want to keep feeling burnt out all of the time, because then what's the point in getting there? It's like we're supposed to be enjoying this journey, and you can't very well enjoy where you're heading when you have a vision and you have a goal or a dream for yourself. That journey, that path there needs to be enjoyable, right? Because it's the journey that matters, right? And I know this is going to sound really cliched. It's that journey that matters the most rather than the destination. The destination is the bonus. It's that end point. It's that reward for the journey. But it's the journey of growth and discovering things about yourself and learning new things and stepping into that identity every time you up-level, every time you take a step forward, every time you accomplish one of those steps along the way. But if you're feeling like that just feels like too much pressure now and it feels like a burden, we're often at risk of settling. And I know that's going to sting as well, like, because I've had to revisit some things even more recently, because things start to feel really heavy and we're feeling burnt out and our nervous system is just wrecked. That vision and that goal that we have for ourselves now feels that heavy that we start settling for what feels easier, for what feels more comfortable, for what allows us to just breathe. And then we shame ourselves for that. So that's what this episode really is all about. So you're still showing up, you're still smiling, you're still performing as the role of the strong one, but inside, that version of you is screaming. She's screaming into that void. And the thing is, you don't need more discipline. You don't need somebody to come along and tell you that, oh, you're just settling, you're not doing enough. You need to feel safe in your own body again. And this is such a big journey for me since the end of last year, was regulating my nervous system. Because if you are not regulated, you are... Like, I used to pride myself on the fact that my life was so chaotic. I mean, it is chaotic. Like, whose wouldn't be with 5 kids? But... like, I used to pride myself on that, and I used to say, like, even with one of the first episodes on this podcast, I used to say, you know, that I own my chaos. The reason I'm able to function and show up the way that I do and do all of the things was because I didn't deny the chaos that was my life. And I can see now, stepping back from that, how much I was wearing that as a badge of honour, and that people would anticipate me doing all of the things, and then behind the scenes I was just exhausted. So I had to get really honest and start shifting things with my business, starting to allow things to fall away that just weren't serving where I wanted to get to, or much less how I wanted to feel as well. So I had to get really honest and start working on feeling safe in my own body again. And, you know, that's nervous system work. It's energy. It's honouring yourself without feeling like you're a failure, without comparing yourself against some of the most successful women that are out there. Like, you're not meant to be them. You're meant to follow your path. So there is this culture of overfunctioning. So I kind of want to talk about the culture that has been bred from this overfunctioning. So we are taught that women who rest, when we rest, we're lazy, that being soft and in your feminine is weakness, and that if something didn't almost kill you, then it doesn't count. Like, many of us, especially women of my age, like 30s, 40s, was often told good things come to those who work hard for it. Like, things aren't supposed to come easy. And we've been fed these narratives that make us feel like unless we're grinding ourselves into the ground for our successes, then it doesn't count. Like, then we're not doing enough. So you actually end up feeling guilty for resting. You shame yourself for needing help. And we somehow believe that slowing down is failure. Like, I used to be in a network marketing pyramid thing years ago. And I remember going to like a conference with a really big person within the network marketing industry. And I remember them saying success loves speed, and they would use the aeroplane metaphor about it taking off, and that it needs this like speed at the beginning to be able to take off and soar. And that stuck with me as well, and I'm pretty sure many of you listening in and tuning in would also relate to that metaphor. So therefore it becomes reinforced that slowing down means you're not going to be successful. The thing is, survival isn't successful either. So you are not on this planet to be efficient. You're put here to be fully alive, to experience everything that life has to offer, the good, the bad, the ugly, the amazing, everything. We're not just here to survive. And if you've been running on empty for so long, you start to forget what feeling fully alive feels like. We just know what tiredness feels like. We know what those quiet resentments feel like. We know what it feels like every time we bend one of our own boundaries. What you actually need isn't this over-functioning culture. What you actually need, and why we're going to cut through the fluff in this episode, is you need to stop searching for a mindset hack, for a 5 a.m. routine, for a mindset meditation, or some sort of activation that's going to propel you into success, that's going to make you feel better. Like, you can't override this shit, okay? Because it's not cognitive. It's not your thinking brain when your nervous system's absolutely fried. You don't need another funnel to prove that you're worthy of having success. What you need is to come back to your body. What you need is to say no without explaining and have boundaries. What you need is to rest without shaming yourself and feeling guilty. You need to be able to create without pressure. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point in continually creating and creating and creating? And believe me, as somebody with ADHD, I have so many ideas and I create so many things. And the turning point, says like a little side quest. The turning point was I very recently created the structure and the framework for an 8-week program called Bitchcraft that was going to be everything. I was ready for putting the sales page out there. I was ready for talking about it. And I knew that it would be amazing for so many women and so activating and just, like putting it together was giving me goosebumps. Even just reading my own sales page gave me the shivers. And I knew how transformational that 8-week program was going to be. And I didn't launch it. I didn't create the sales page. I created nothing. I got as far as starting to create the visuals for the sales page. And I tuned in and I thought, why am I even creating this? And it's not because I'd lost touch with what I set out to do, but I realised I was creating for the sake of creating. Like, I love to work with women on their confidence and their identity, absolutely. But there was more ways to bring that into my work and allow a natural evolution to occur. And I realised that I was holding on to part of my story as a business owner and as a businesswoman. I was holding on for dear life because identity and confidence mentoring was like like me and it was like a hand fitting in a glove. It came effortlessly, but just because something felt settled and stable for me didn't necessarily mean that that's what I should have been doing. So I realised that I wasn't creating from a place of where I needed to evolve into. So it wasn't about self-sabotage and burning everything down and going in a different direction. But as I'm about to say, it's allowing yourself to move and lead yourself instead of proving. So I didn't feel like I needed to prove that I wasn't self-sabotaging, that I wasn't getting scared of releasing an offer or its price or anything like that. Like, I was pretty much confident in all of that. But I knew I had to give myself the opportunity to expand, to allow my skills that I've been developing over the last several years to start coming to the forefront. So you do need to be moving like you're leading instead of trying to prove something to the world. You need to come back to you, to the version of you that isn't running on caffeine and codependency with scrolling on your phone. You need to come back to the version of you that doesn't feel like she has a need to earn her rest. Like, yeah, I put in several hours behind my laptop today and now I think I've earned an early night. No, you don't have to earn rest. You don't have to earn taking care of yourself. the version of you that doesn't need to earn her rest is in there, and she's simply waiting for you to stop abandoning her. So part of your reclamation gets to start here and now on this podcast. So what reclamation really looks like is cancelling that plan for not feeling bad, not going to that event, not continually signing up for 5-day challenges, for example, and saying you need to learn one more thing, you need to implement one more thing, you need to do this, you need to invest in something else. Like, not feeling bad or guilty for cancelling something. It's raising your prices because you know you are worth it, not because somebody told you to. It's shutting down your laptop, resting, walking away and saying no. Saying nothing. Like, I decided to get really disciplined with myself last month and set a time limit for working within my business and doing things and creating and writing and all the other bits and pieces that I do by 10 p.m. at night. So if you are new to me, or even if you aren't and you weren't sure of like what my schedule is and why I'm working away behind my laptop until 10 p.m. at night, obviously I have 5 children and their daily schedules are all over the place. And I very quickly realised in 2020 that I could not work on my business like full throttle during the day and show up as mum. So I was starting to feel really burnt out and overwhelmed, and I made the decision a few years ago to be available for myself and be available for my family through the day, be available in my life through the day, and asking myself, what am I available for today? And in the evenings, when the children had gone to bed, because hello, routines. We have some really solid routines in this house that also reinforces boundaries and teaches my children boundaries and self-agency as well. So it meant from 7 p.m. at night, downstairs in my house pretty much became a child-free zone. They were all in their spaces. Some would be asleep, others would be reading books, working on schoolwork. But it just meant that downstairs becomes so zen and so chilled. It meant that I would have 4 hours each day to work on my business, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're working 4 hours on your business 5 days a week, that's 20 hours. That's quite a lot of time. So as I was saying, like the walking away and saying no and cancelling things without feeling bad. I also recently cancelled a masterclass because I was not going to be able to deliver that from a place that was 100% in the zone with the energy that these women would have been looking for. I wouldn't have been able to hold a container like that. So I made the decision to cancel it, and I actually felt relief afterwards. And it's not that I didn't want to do the work, it's just because I knew I was exhausted. I was really tired. I needed to regulate. I needed to take care of me. And that's what it looks like when you cancel. I'm not saying start cancelling your business, but what I'm saying is if there are things that you've got coming up, appointments, meetings, outings, whatever, if you've got things coming up and you know you don't have the capacity or the energy, cancel it. Don't feel bad. You know, reclaiming yourself looks like trusting your own rhythm. It's tuning back in and finding that rhythm, especially when you've been off the beaten path for a while. It looks like being okay with not being switched on all of the time. It looks like believing that peace is also a strategy. Like, how are you going to build that in? How do you want to build that in? What does peace look like to you? What does regulation look like to you? Like, and when I say nervous system regulation, I'm not saying anybody is unstable. Like, I think we also get to a point where we start to think, I'm so dysregulated kind of thing. And we see it talked about on social media like it's this really awful thing, but humans are designed to be regulated and dysregulated. It's the most important piece is being able to recognize it and knowing what you can do to regulate that and bring in a sense of feeling stability, not stable. The thing is, you have proven that you can push. You've proven that you can keep pushing yourself, grinding yourself into the ground. You've proven that you can survive. What you haven't done is learn how to thrive in life or in your business. So I will kind of round this session out, this episode, with reminding you that you're not lazy, you aren't behind, you're just simply tired of betraying yourself. And the moment you stop trying to fix yourself and stop trying to fix things that you think are going wrong because of the pressure and the expectations you're putting on yourself, when you stop putting that kind of pressure on yourself, you start meeting yourself where you're at, and that's where everything starts to shift. So you need to, I can't give you the permission, you have to give that to yourself, is to stop performing, stop pretending, stop punishing yourself with productivity. You are allowed to lead without leaking your energy everywhere. You are allowed to succeed without suffering. You are allowed to rest, and you still get to rise. So this isn't the end of ambition. It's not the end of being a high achiever. It's the return of your power. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please do reach out. The links are underneath this episode description if you want to follow me. And just a really quick mention that the waitlist for my very incredible new space is opening for business women, the Code and Crown Collective, for women who want to be noticed and paid. So this is going to be a space for women who are constantly feeling like they are surviving, whether it's through visibility, tech. If you are a businesswoman that essentially is constantly feeling overwhelmed, not sure of content, not sure of ideas, how you should be showing up, how to create a lead magnet in Canva, all of those things, this is going to be the space for you. This is where I will be leading you through learning all of those tools and skills so that you can start seeing the success that everybody else seems to be having around you, and you're sat there wondering, why aren't I seeing that success yet? What am I getting wrong? This is going to be your space. I am so excited. It will be opening this month. I have 20 places. I couldn't get my word out then. I have 20 spaces that will be available at founding member level at £45 per month. And then once all 20 spaces have been filled, the price will be going up to its standard of £68 per month. I am so freaking excited. I will drop the link, go check it out. There is a gorgeous lead magnet freebie for you that will be delivered to your email once you drop your name on the wait list. I'm so freaking excited. But until next time on the Fearless Femme podcast, please do take care of yourselves, ladies, and remember that rest shouldn't be this shameful, dirty thing. Give yourself the rest, give yourself the regulation, and a massive shout out to a gorgeous woman and human I've been working with lately on nervous system regulation, which is Susanna Swain. I will drop her link as well, so make sure you do go and check her out. And until next time, mwah.